Yeah, I thought I'd make another update today before I lose the sunlight because I don't have working lights very well in here. I'm just running off of battery powered stuff and I can't run them all the time. I think I've finished all the wiring for now, unless I want to do accessory stuff, which, that's not important. It doesn't really matter right now. So these are just unplugged because that's the two batteries that go in the seat. Every other battery is plugged in right now. This is going to end up living here. It's small enough. It just barely fits. Like, I had the seat on and tested it. It just barely fits. I wish it sat a little lower so it could wiggle, but I think it'll be okay. I mean, problem is the BMS is directly underneath of them. That is that the BM? Let me see. That might not be the BMS. The BMS might be on the side, other side. No, that's the BMS, I think. I think that's the BMS. I could be mistaken, but I don't want this breaking the BMS in the batteries, basically. Anyways, I ramble too much. It took a while to get it figured out, so one of the hard things was the throttle, of course. Got that dialed in and figured out. Finally, I mentioned earlier in another video, the brakes were going to be an issue. I finally got it routed in a way that allowed me to just barely be able to use the length of housing that I have. So, and this is that, it has to be there. And this one had to adjust out as well a little bit because the housing was too short. So that works. And the cable, I'm just not even going to snip it. It's actually long, but it's not that much longer, see? The old one just barely stuck out of the little catch there with it. If I can get the camera down there, goddamn, how far down is it? Anyways, you don't need to see it. The old one just barely stuck out, the old cable did. That one sticks out about 2 or 3 inches, but it's not important, it's not in the way. So, another headache, because this has taken me all day, another headache was adapting this little fucker over to be able to use. And also I wanted to, because part of it, I could have just straight wired everything in, like no connectors. Everything that couldn't connect directly, because some of the stuff could connect directly, like the motor and the battery thing. That was fine, right? But like to charge it and to do the brake lever switch, none of it just easily connected in. Also, the just to turn it on and off. That's this one, I believe. Yeah. This one's just to turn it on and off. This one charges it. So I had to adapt a lot. I also had to lengthen the cable for the brake light, or the brake lever. So it's lengthened, and I didn't have a connector for it. So I reused something else I had that was a connector, and it had multiple wires, but instead of cutting them and only using the 2 wires, I left them for, like, in the future, if I take this off, I can have a 4-wire connector on both sides. So for now, I've got, 2 together and 2 together. Same on this side. That makes it a 2-wire connector, basically, but that I'm just planning ahead just in case I reuse that for something else and want 4 wires. But that's that connector, so that all of this can unplug factory, basically, so that I can actually take parts off and move stuff around and do stuff. Yeah, so it's pretty much ready for me to put it together. So, oh yeah, it's turned on right now. So the brake lever works, and so does the switch and the pedal. All of it works. Right now, instead of hot glue, just because I needed to use this up before it went bad, I used some putty to make sure So technically I reused the original round charging port but I knocked the plastic center out that held the pins so that I could shove wires through it, and then I'm just using an XT60 port. So the threaded one that fits that hole is in there, and then I ground slots in the part that sticks out so that this slides in that, but it doesn't slide through the hole, right? Because that threaded round port is in there. And then I use this to keep it in those slots, right? And then I have a cover for this somewhere, and I'm going to make sure the cover is able to actually like stay on and everything. And this has a switch to it too, so it's not a big deal. Don't worry about that. There's a switch here, which I need to turn into the off position, which this isn't plugged in yet. Hasn't been. I haven't even plugged it in yet. Doesn't. But yeah, so I made sure I added an extra switch for this. So that's not a big deal. So this is the on switch, just like factory. It's just the light doesn't work this time because this is the switch. This is the factory switch from this spot, but remember I straight wired this whole rig originally and I used the factory switch. So to make it a little beefier, I used the extra leg of the switch, and so I soldered a line to the two legs instead of just having them all independent. So there's one leg going in, and then the two legs were connected coming out, instead of having a positive and a negative feeding the switch, and then one of the positives coming out as well. Because one of the positive, and there would be a negative coming in for the light and a positive coming in for the light, but then also a positive coming out for whatever the switch is activating. But I soldered both of the positive legs together, so I have on this one a leg coming in and then one leg coming out pretty much. So the light doesn't work anymore. I don't need a light, an indicator. The throttle is my indicator. If it's not freaking working, something's going on, right? And I did get the pull to this to be normal. Let me turn that off. I did get the pull to this to feel normal, like a normal throttle. And that, you know, you only get about a half twist. That's all you need. About that much. Right there's, you know, like I'm not going to twist my hand on it like slide it. I'm just going to twist the whole thing, hand and all. That's as far as you get. And that's good. That's all you need. It's not a motorcycle. That's it. That gives you from slow to full speed with this. And so this spring is removable easily. It has a pin through it, which is just a screw, because this comes with it's like wound like a key ring on both ends, right? That's sticking up. And so that's what is held on here. There's a screw going through it and screwed down. And here there was already a bolt hole where I was originally going to mount that, but then this throttle ended up being its best spot was here, so I couldn't mount it there. And so, and the screw that fit that wouldn't fit the spring, and I didn't want to manipulate and modify the spring. So I stuck the spring through the hole, which it fit through the hole perfectly, and then stuck a screw through that, and it just works as a pin, like a T. It can't pull through. And I feel like that's very secure. It's not going anywhere. I know how to redneck things the right way, basically, to where they're not going to break on you anytime soon. If that makes any sense at all. I'm not sure. Sorry. I'm just checking things out. But that's pretty much it. It's ready to ride as soon as I slap it together, like the plastic and the seat and all that. Put the grips on it. Suppose I could put my mirrors on it. These have the already threaded bits from the bar end mirrors, so I could just thread the mirrors on there. Yeah, grips, mirrors, plastic together, maybe my foam mount. And then I can go for a ride and see how this new controller works. But let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, leave a comment.